Adrian Broadus.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As we get going here on a Tuesday afternoon, it's trade deadline day in Major League Baseball, and it looks like we've had a couple of fun deadline deals. That Dodgers story taking the trade with, this is wild. Wild. Dodgers getting Jack Flaherty at the deadline is a big deal. In fact, within the last hour, you look at what's happened. Dylan Carlson going from the Cardinals to the Rays. The Dodgers not only getting Jack Flaherty, but they also got Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays. Kiermaier, I guess. Eloy Jimenez going from the White Sox to the Orioles. That happened 20 minutes ago. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa going from the Blue Jays to the Pirates. That happened 40 minutes ago. And, of course, the one that we're all talking about here, Tanner Scott, the Marlins closer, along with Brian Hoeing, going from Miami to San Diego. And here we go. The prospects, every year is the same thing. The Padres always have, like, 3 of their top 5 or 10 prospects go on deadline day. And they did it again today, sending Robbie Snelling, Adam Mazur, Graham Pauley, and Jay Bashirs to the Marlins. And by the way, Mazur and Pauley are regulars for the Chihuahuas. In fact, even though Mazur has pitched up with the Padres over the last few weeks, the greatest was that apparently Mazur was supposed to pitch Thursday for San Diego. Now he might be starting Thursday for Miami. Like, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the Marlins, who are just killed with injuries in their rotation, decide to just keep Mazur up and let him pitch in Miami and see how he does. So that could be the case. Graham Pauley will probably be able to play third base for Miami if they deem so necessary. He's an infielder. We've seen him around here. Robbie Snelling was one of their top prospects. Essentially what this is the Padres taking their top specs and unloading them for a premium player that's going to help them, and that's what they got. They got a closer in Tanner Scott, who now just solidifies the bullpen even that much more for San Diego, trying to get back to the playoffs.
Am I wrong in questioning why the Padres did not get a starting pitcher here at the deadline?
Because Yu Darvish will probably be back soon, and maybe the same thing
with Musgrove?
For Joe Musgrove.
Makes
sense. And that could be why.
Yeah, that makes sense then. And if that's the case, then you think about getting Adams, Steve, here before the deadline. Then adding that here with Scott. I mean, the Padres are going for it right here. Hey, they're saying, hey, we want to be in the mix here. We believe we have a contending team. We want to go for it here at the deadline. And, hey, all things considered, I thought it was a nice get for Preller and company out with San Diego.
Robert Suarez, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada, Adrian Morejon, Tanner Scott. That is a big one. We got a line ringing in. Let's see if it's a possible guest. Hopefully it is. We're expecting a possible guest coming up on the show here today, and we'll see if, in fact, we get that and make that happen. But all right. But anyway, you look at the situation right now. Yeah, the Padres have been dealing. They've been busy. Again, I don't know about this trade, so it's kind of interesting. And I think who better to give perspective on Tanner Scott than Adrian Broadus. And I'm going to tell you why. Adrian has owned Tanner Scott in fantasy baseball for like the last 4 years. Like, ever since I roped him into his first dynasty league, he's had Tanner Scott. So, and Tanner Scott suffered an arm injury and then made his way back, and now he's having a career year. So it's so interesting to me, though. You know, teams value premium players in big spots, and closers are big time. Like, you want to get a closer, you're going to have to pay. That's just what it comes down to. And now, again, big bullpen for the Pods. Big bullpen. But look at the cost. They sent off their whole prospects. You tell me. Give me your scouting report on Tanner Scott, since he's been part of your fantasy team forever.
30 years old, lefty, Steve. He's got when it comes to saves, he could get it done for you. He also appears in a lot of games. That's what I love about him as a fantasy player. Like, he's a weekly starter, no doubt about it, because he'll at least play a lot for you with the team. I feel like, he's going to be somebody who fits nicely with this group right here. You just mentioned it. It's guys like Adrian Morejon, it's guys like Estrada, guys like Jason Adam, who we just mentioned right now, Suarez. This is the right fit here for Scott. And hey, for a contending team like the Padres, just think about it, Steve. They had a dilemma with Hader over last offseason. Do they re-sign Josh Hader? Do they get him on the extension? What do they do with him? Instead, he's no longer with the group. So here they're moving forward. They supplemented him with a lefty closer like Tanner Scott. So 30 years old. Let's see what he can do here.
If rumor's true, and the only thing Jack Flaherty cost the Dodgers was Trey Sweeney, who's a 24-year-old shortstop in Oklahoma City, was probably supposed to be there tonight.
Right.
And Theron Lorenzo, a 21-year-old catcher who's right now in high A, batting .220, then the Dodgers just stole Jack Flaherty. Now, I don't know if that's really the case. I haven't exactly seen what they're getting, but it looks like right now it's the Dodgers' number 8 and number 22 ranked prospects. That is wild if that's the case. Theron Lorenzo and Trey Sweeney for Jack Flaherty. Consider what the Padres just traded to try to bolster their bullpen is nuts, if you ask me. Crazy.
I know they fleeced the Tigers right here, Steve. What happened? I mean, what do they know that we don't here? I feel like for the Dodgers, what a deadline. I mean, getting Flaherty, man, that's amazing right here. I thought that we would be talking about him going maybe to the Phillies. We were speculating yesterday. He was out. He was scratched yesterday as well. And now we find out he's going to L.A. By the way, I feel like I've heard something about Jack Flaherty wanting to go to L.A. in the past. So what was it? Maybe I guess, Tigers right after the Cardinals or something along those lines, but regardless, now he's in LA.
Fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating. And again, I feel like of all the names that were just traded away, this one is crazy. Looks like also the Tigers are trading Mark Canha to the Giants. That one, Robert Murray, by the way, is a terrific follow if you don't follow him already. Robert Murray breaks everything, and it seems like he always has all the deals. So, yeah, Robert Murray is a terrific follow. He is the writer for Fansided, and he's got that one with the Rays then getting Dylan Carlson, and I just can't believe what the Dodgers did. The Dodgers are, they should be right now cracking open, a brand new bottle of champagne, celebrating that, considering it really didn't cost him anything. That's big time.
Yeah, that is big time for the Dodgers. And back to the Padres, they actually just made another move not too long ago, acquiring another pitcher help in Martin Perez from the Pirates. So that's going to be interesting moving forward, especially with Yu Darvish returning. And I really like the Dylan Carlson deal for the Rays, even though I've had question marks about them this deadline and just this entire season in general. But I wonder how Dylan Carlson is going to go over with the Rays. He struggled with the Cardinals this year, as he's only hitting just 198 in 59 games this season, but only giving up Shawn Armstrong. That's a good trade for the Rays.
Well, I'd like to know also, just out of curiosity, what the Padres just traded away from Martin Perez. That is going to be also kind of interesting when that story breaks, because it looks like right now we haven't left-handed pitching prospect Ronaldus Jimenez. That is somebody I do not know anything about for the Padres. And I try to follow the Padres system. Maybe you guys could check the top 30 on MLB.com and see where Ronaldus Jimenez is. As far as Martin Perez as a starting pitcher, look, he's a vet. He is 33 years of age. And this season, he's been garbage. 2-5, a 5.2 ERA. Look, the Padres probably could have offered this guy and a B prospect to the Tigers and landed Jack Flaherty. And if I'm the Padres, why not? If you're really gonna go out and get yourself a pitcher, why not go out and get Jack Flaherty rather than Martin Perez? Was it that big a deal getting a left-handed Tanner Scott. I mean, that is what it ultimately comes down to, guys, is I guess the Padres felt like Tanner Scott is the difference between San Diego not making the postseason and making a long run. And by the way, he's a free agent after this season. So you're telling me you're going to give up Mazer and that whole prospect package of Snelling and Paulus for a rental? I mean, again, I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I do too. And they just gave up that prospect, like you said, for Martin Perez, who, as a Pirates fan, he has not been very good this year. He's blown us a lot of games this year, given up a lot of blown games. If you look at some of the Pirates' losses this year where they were in blowout fashion, Martin Perez has been the starter for those games. So this is a very questionable move here by the Padres. I don't know what they see here in Perez. Maybe he bounces back there, but I just don't see it happening, and I think Flaherty would have been the better option there.
Guys, I felt like up until a couple of these deals that went down, it was like teams are shopping at Savers. That's kind of how I liken into this deadline. I didn't feel like there was much going on, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything just starts to happen one after another.
So for Jimenez, Steve, just to go back to your question about top 30 prospect, he is not in the list that I'm looking at right now. As far as even being the top 50 going into the season for the Padres. So real interesting acquisition right there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So anyway, that's something to talk about.
What do you think of Eloy Jimenez, by the way?
He's been injured and he hasn't been good. I mean, I don't really know what that's going to do for Baltimore. It kind of confuses me a little bit. I'm not really sure why. Look, Eloy years ago was a very, very big prospect, but just hasn't worked out. Has not worked out. And I'm not really sure what, this is going to do either. So anyway, yeah, definitely something to consider and keep in mind as we get started.
What do you think about Trevor Rogers also with the Orioles?
So that one, at least he's got 2 years of club control and has upside. A couple of years ago, he was very, very good. He's just been inconsistent. I mean, I thought the Orioles did okay. I mean, they could have used some of the bigger names out there. By the way, Blake Snell didn't get dealt. That was interesting because he was being rumored. I know the Padres are interested in reacquiring him. They didn't get him. But, again, I feel like for the most part, a lot of minor trades, no big deals. I don't think the Orioles did bad. Some teams really. I have to just kind of digest everything. Like the Mets got Paul Blackburn. They didn't exactly make a splash, but I'm not surprised because their general manager was the GM of the Brewers, and Milwaukee never made huge splashes at the deadline anyway. And I feel like he's doing the same thing in New York as he did in Milwaukee. So that doesn't surprise me with David Stearns. The Yankees, I thought were going to go out and maybe try to really reinforce them, their lineup. Now, they did go out and get themselves Jazz Chisholm. That could be a big one for them. But the Yanks didn't really go out and make a huge splash after Chisholm.
Yeah, I feel like Flaherty, just at the buzzer, is kind of that splash get, and it's the Dodgers who end up acquiring him. How surprised are you that Garrett Crochet wasn't traded away from the White Sox? How surprised are you that the Rockies stay put with everybody they had? I mentioned Rogers going over to the Orioles. Well, Brendan Rodgers stays with the Rockies. They don't deal him. And also Cal Quantrill. He stays a Rocky as well.
Well, look, let me say this also when we're talking about some of these trades. Garrett Crochet, his agent said that if he gets traded, he has to get a new deal before he even starts. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, that is insane. Like, I've never heard of demands like that from a young guy who's never done anything really other than now he's pitching well, but come on. So his agent scared everybody off. Nobody was willing to pay the price because of what his agent said. So great. Now Garrett Crochet gets to stay on one of the worst teams in the history of baseball rather than be traded to a contender. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I totally am with you on that one. Now, with Crochet, I wonder what's going to happen in the future with him. He's probably going to be a free agent guy who gets overpaid because of his agent.
Yep.
But I don't know how deserving that's going to be. Just like you mentioned, he hasn't really done much. Good stats, bad team. Rockies, you okay with them remaining pat?
They didn't do anything.
Yeah, they did. I thought they were going to be sellers here at the deadline. They weren't.
Oh, I know. By the way, Cesar Cubillo says, too much Padres talk. As a Dodgers fan, I'd even take Mets talk over that team who looks like they raid Wyoming's wardrobe. That's funny. I love that from Caesar. Hey, we said it earlier. I mean, the Dodgers won the trade deadline. They got Jack Flaherty for a bag of balls. I mean, come on. That is a terrific move. I love what the Dodgers did. Absolutely love it. They stole Jack Flaherty from the Tigers.
So a couple other ones here at the deadline, Steve, or I guess at the buzzer. Diamondbacks just got reliever Dylan Floro from the Nationals. That just broke right now.
Interesting.
Reds have traded Austin Slater to the Orioles. That just happened as well. So
he just got traded from the Dodgers, so now
that's
he's bouncing around. All right, so a lot of moves. We'll digest everything. Andy Imfeld is here. Speaking of baseball, he'll give us the lowdown on the week of the Chihuahuas. We'll do all that right after Charlie Wan, who has a traffic update for us. I love trade deadline day. Unfortunately for the Chihuahuas, it involves a couple of their regulars, their mainstays. You're not going to see Adam Mazur Thursday in El Paso against Oklahoma City. You might see him Thursday in Miami pitching for the Marlins in his debut. That could easily happen. Graham Pauley, you won't see him tonight playing third or another position for the Chihuahuas. Could see him pop up in the Marlins infield after the deadlines that were made today. And for those of you dreaming of Robbie Snelling later this season, well, you're going to have to, unfortunately, wait for another trade to get him back to San Diego because he's also part of that Marlins deal for Tanner Scott. And with that, we get to welcome back to the program the one and only, Andy Imfeld, who was getting a chance to join us on deadline day. Man, a lot of things going on here. Deadline. You know what? Listen. There was nobody better I'd love to have to break down all these baseball trades than you. I mean, it is perfect. Listen, a homestand, schmomestand, we won't even talk about Oklahoma City. Let's get your thoughts on all the trades that have gone down, starting with Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers about 20 minutes ago.
You know, that's a pretty big get for them, I would say.
It is.
And honestly, I haven't paid that much attention to the trade deadline because we are preparing for the homestand. But the one thing that stands out to me, I grew up a Reds fan, right? Ty France, former Chihuahuas MVP to the Cincinnati Reds.
Did you text him a congratulatory message?
No, I don't have his number.
Oh, my God.
I'm not that cool.
Come on. All those years you guys were working together, I figured.
Actually, I do really love Ty France because when we hosted the AAA All-Star Game and Home Run Derby, one of the players backed out of the Home Run Derby, and what did Ty do? I got you, Andy. And he stepped up, and he was the runner-up. He almost won the thing.
And if you remember, he was in that Home Run Derby wearing like red, white, and blue.
Oh, yeah. It was our Sergeant Stripes jersey from that year.
He was all decked out and hitting bombs.
It was so fun. He was so close to winning, and that would have just been the cherry on top of that week.
I love Ty France, and I don't blame you. All right. Well, listen, it's good to have you back. We just got through this 3-game mini, and then they go back on the road, and now they're back here, and it's finally the Oklahoma City. By the way, this is kind of weird. I guess they're no longer the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
They're not.
Now they're just the Oklahoma City Baseball Club. Correct. What are they trying to take a page out of Washington Commanders?
It must be. And I think I heard, and this could be wrong, that they're close to a rebrand, and this is just kind of like a get them past this season, and next year they'll have a new logo and branding and all that good stuff.
Let me tell you something. You want to brand yourself? You're the Oklahoma City Dodgers. I mean,
no kidding.
That would probably be the greatest brand you could ever imagine, and that was their brand, but now they're going to come up with something different, so I get it. They want to make a little more merchandising money, but just think about how much merch money you have with the Dodgers in script. That is 100%. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they would establish their own identity, though. They were something else before the Dodgers, though. While we played them in the PCL. I can't remember what it was.
Oklahoma City were the 89ers?
I don't remember now.
Right.
That sounds like it could be it. But, we've been doing this for 10, 11 years. That was a long time ago.
It was. And I've already forgotten. I'm sure our listeners will remind us on Twitter and X and, just say,
help us out, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, tonight, by the way, I'm going to the ballpark after the show. I'm excited about
Great.
Taco Tuesday. I've gotten used to Taco Tuesday. I buy those rolled tacos. They come I drown them in that sauce and good to go.
And actually, tonight it's special. We're doing beef instead of chicken. So this is a new one tonight, beef rolled tacos for our Taco Tuesday instead of your standard chicken. So switching it up a little bit.
I like that. Now, is it like, will it be beef? Will you be able to taste the beef? Will it be
taste the beef? Yeah, of course, Steve.
Did you ever watch Cheers?
Oh yeah.
You remember when they called it Beth? Fake beef. It was Beth.
No, this is real beef. Real beef.
All right, so we're not going to have
that. We're going to do that to our Chihuahuas.
We're not going to have that old lady from Wendy's go, "Where's the beef?
Where's the beef?"
All right, well, the beef's going to be in those tacos.
It's going to be in the rolled tacos tonight.
Rolled beef. Is this the first time this season we have rolled beef tacos?
I believe so, yeah. There might have been one night that we sold a ton of the chicken ones and had to pivot to beef. But yeah, to my knowledge, this is the first time we're doing it this year.
Excellent. Oh, and you get to throw all that jalapeno crema.
Oh, heck yeah.
You should bottle that jalapeno crema and just sell it for fans.
I completely agree. Yeah, I would do that.
I would love that.
We got to come up with a nice special name for it, though.
Well, you don't like Adrian?
No, it's got to be everything that Chihuahuas do is branded Chihuahuas or some dog thing. We need to think of something.
We got to. We'll think of something good. I'll ask ChatGPT or something, Andy.
Okay,
Maybe they'll
perfect.
Help us out.
That sounds like a winner. All right. What kind of beer tonight? The 12-ounce beers. Do we know what those are on special?
They didn't confirm that in the meeting today, but I know it's cold. So
good. I'll be drinking those too, whatever that is. Hopefully we get a because it's Taco Chews and Brews. I'm just hoping we get a Mexican beer tonight.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
We got a few to choose.
Yeah, we got a few to choose from for sure.
I did the Ultra because that was all I had. It was
Ultra's fine.
Ultras, which it's like drinking bottled water.
You're at a baseball game as long as the beer's cold.
That's true. That's all I care about.
That's it.
That's exactly right. But so that's tonight. That's Taco Tuesday, presented by Cazadores. Also $6 Cazadores as well.
That's right.
That's going to start at 5:30 and go all the way till 8 o'clock tonight.
Yes, it is. Yeah, come hungry and thirsty.
Absolutely. And by the way, the baseball club is fun because they have some players on it. I don't know if he's on the roster tonight, but there's a very good chance that Walker Buehler could be there.
I was just going to say, I didn't see him down there when I was in the tunnel, but that's what I've heard. So he should potentially be here this week.
I think so too. Maybe Buehler's big time enough where he'll just fly in for a start and leave rather than spend the week with the team.
I was shocked when I heard this last week, and this is not happening, but there was an outside chance that Kershaw was going to be here. It's not happening. No, don't put words in my mouth, folks, but they just recalled him before this homestand. So there was a small chance we might have seen Clayton Kershaw here.
Yeah, and he pitched well too.
Yeah.
I saw that also. So, yeah, he looked pretty good.
Like a Hall of Famer should.
I would expect that. But I think Bobby Miller will be on the tee. He'll be pitching this series, and he's a 24-year-old who was amazing last year with the Dodgers, lights out, struggled this year, had not been healthy, and he's been back down to AAA, so you might get a chance to see him. Diego Cartaya, who's a catcher that was been their top prospect the last couple of years. Some good names with the Dodgers. It'll be fun with the Oklahoma City Baseball Club.
And I know that El Paso Chihuahuas fans, you're going to come out and cheer for the Chihuahuas, but also understand there are a lot of LA Dodgers fans here in El Paso, so come and see your future Dodgers.
Oh, my God. Do you realize how many Dodger jerseys you're going to get and shirts over the next 5-6 days?
You got to look at our social. We got photo evidence of a fan that was wearing a Dodger jersey, and we're taking pictures of him, Jorge, and he's taking the Dodger jersey off and putting on a Margaritas jersey. So we got one. It's on our social. It's pretty funny.
Nelson just texted into the show and said the Oklahoma City Redhawks.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Was that what they were?
That might have been 2014. I think they may have rebranded in 15 or 16, but yes.
I thought they did too. And
it was really early on.
Okay, I have to remember their names also. Here it is. So it was the Redhawks from 09 to 14.
There you go. Yeah.
And apparently, oh, by the way, this is hilarious. It was the Oklahoma City 89ers from 1962 to 1997. Good to see I live in a time warp, and when I remember things, it goes all the way back to from the 60s to the 90s. So that's great.
Almost pre-sports talk.
Yeah, basically, yes. The year their last year was my first year doing this show. That's how long it was.
So in 15, they became the OKC Dodgers then. Is that the case?
In 15, they became the Dodgers. They've been the Dodgers from 2015 to 2023.
Redhawks. Well, thanks for that tweet.
Good job. Appreciate that.
It's not even
Nelson.
called a tweet anymore.
Nah, text. He texted it.
Oh, he texted it. Got it.
Yeah, he texted into the program. So that's good. All right, it's the bottom of the hour. We got more to talk about with Andy. We've got game 1 of the series starting in about 2 hours from now, right? Almost exactly 2 hours. But here as we continue, the one and only Michael Plundo back with SportsCenter. All right, Michael, appreciate that, my man. 32 past. We're back right now with Andy Imfeld. He is the on-field MC. He handles marketing as well for your El Paso Chihuahuas. Homestand starts tonight. It's Taco Tuesday, presented by Cazadores. Tomorrow, Bark at the Park is back. That's right, Bark at the Park, presented by GECU. Will the team be wearing those classic Chico, like those dog jerseys from year one, or do we not wear those anymore?
Yeah, no, they're not wearing those this year. We'll bring those back every once in a while. Last year was when we did the aged dog. It was 10 years older. Tomorrow's just your standard El Paso Chihuahuas on field, but you get to enjoy the game with man's best friends. So come on out, enter at the Missouri gate, bring your shot records. It's a pretty seamless process that we have going on over there. It can actually be, the waiver could be found online and filled out online. So yeah, GEC Bark at the Park tomorrow night, Wednesday.
Excellent. Also, seniors eat free tomorrow night. I'm getting closer to that promotion. I'm not close enough yet, but let's just say that I am closer now than I was when the team started. I mean, now I feel like I'm getting there. I'm closing the gap on this one. I can't wait for seniors eat free. Adrian, I'm going to be like one of those guys right there. Like, hey man, be showing up at a game, excited. I want my kettle chips, my hot dog. I want my 24-ounce Pepsi. It's gonna be perfect.
We have many fans that beeline it to the promotions booth. They come every Wednesday and they get their free meal, as they should, and enjoy a nice Chihuahuas game.
What do you think seniors eat free will be like in 2033 when I finally qualify for this? Will we even still have free hot dogs, or will it be something else? Who knows what kind of food will even be offered up?
Interesting, yeah.
It could
Futuristic food, maybe.
Futuristic food.
A flying hot dog.
Yes, maybe it'll be.
I like it.
Maybe it'll be some kind of thing that you don't even chew. It'd be like it's something that has nothing to it, and like Ovaltine. You get free Ovaltine at the ballpark when you show up. That'll be perfect.
3D printing that it's edible?
Maybe. You never know. And
I always think about that Back to the Future when they put the little pizza inside the microwave and it turns into a big, huge pizza.
Yeah, that's right.
Love that.
I do. I love that too. Hey, by the way, you're going to be the El Paso Chihuahuas paper company Thursday because that's the special night with Kate Flannery, who played Meredith Palmer in The Office. She's going to be here for the big one coming up on Thursday as you get ready to take on Oklahoma City in Game 3. Let's talk about that because you've brought in characters from The Sandlot before, and I'm trying to remember who is that the only one you've done, or have you done something else?
Oh my goodness, we brought in Blue Demon Jr., who is a luchador. His dad was a famous luchador back in the day.
Yep,
and he continued to do it. I don't know if he's still wrestling today. And we've done a lot of kids' character appearances, not like humans.
That's right.
We just had Bluey recently that was very, very popular. We've had all the PBS characters over the years.
Oh, I know you brought in once. You brought in from Field of Dreams the one that played Kevin Costner's father in the movie towards the very end.
Dwyer Brown.
There you go.
Yes. And we did that on Father's Day.
Yeah, and you gave people a chance to have a catch with Dwyer Brown. And by the way, we had him on the show. Dwyer Brown was terrific.
He is incredible. And the reason that we actually found him and knew that he was going on the tour of minor league ballparks is at the promotional seminar that September prior to the season that we booked him, he was the keynote speaker. And he was awesome. Just great stories, very personable, charming guy.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, that was fun. But Kate Flannery, Meredith Palmer from that hit show, The Office, will be here on Thursday. We have a VIP meet and greet. Very, very few spots are available to that. That can be added onto your ticket when you're checking out online. But then after that, she's going to go on the field, throw out a ceremonial first pitch.
Very nice.
And then she will be on the concourse for a limited amount of time for fans to take a picture with her.
Love that. So Kate Flannery, Meredith Palmer in town Thursday night. Get your tickets. And by the way, if you're a season seat holder, just call your ticket account rep if you want to get that VIP package.
Yeah, they'll add it straight to your account. Very seamless process. We love to have everyone come meet Kate Flannery, and that package, the VIP package, is almost sold out. So if you're interested, I'd call your rep today.
All right, favorite Meredith Palmer moment from The Office? Because think about it. She lit her hair on fire. She had a bat trapped in a bag while she was screaming and yelling. She also got hit by Michael Scott's car. She had some good moments during the show. She really did. So
yeah, she was very very wild too, I would say. She liked to hit the bottle, I think.
Yes, I would agree with that. The character was not shy. Let's put it that way. So, is there one in particular?
I always think that getting hit by the car is pretty funny.
You know what I always thought was interesting? On the very last episode, at the very end of the show, she mentioned that throughout the program, she was going to school getting her PhD, which blew me away. I'm like,
I don't remember that.
oh my God. She's like saying, yeah, I just got my doctorate. I was like, you got to be kidding. What an like the last thing you would ever expect from a Meredith Palmer character.
100%. Yeah, she sounds great. Kate Flannery, so going to be great for the fans to meet her.
Awesome. So that's Thursday. Friday. And by the way, there is the 643 double play also Thursday, presented by Speaking Rock. $6 24-ounce, a 12-ounce. That is the neutral. Is that what it's? Or
that's a neutral. Yes, that's
okay. Energy drink.
It's a seltzer.
Seltzer. Okay. Yep. You can tell I haven't had one yet. $4 regular hot dog. $3 12-ounce canned beers. $3 small fountain drinks. And those are also available up until 2.5 hours after the gates open.
That's correct. Yeah. So 8 o'clock.
Weekend. Let's talk about the leather emblem trucker cap giveaway Friday night.
Yeah, it's a cool black hat with a leather emblem logo on the front. It's our circular logo. We use it sporadically. It's very cool logo, but of leather, and it's a trucker cap. So first 1,500 fans through the gates will get one of those. Gates open at 5:30 on Friday. If you're a season seat member, you get a little earlier, 5:15 early entry for season seats.
It's also Friar Friday.
Yeah, so the team will be wearing the Padres brown and yellow inspired jerseys, and it should be a great night.
Saturday, Marvel's Defender of the Diamond Night, not to mention a fireworks spectacular from GECU.
Yeah, so this is our second Marvel night of the season, and the team's going to wear our specialty Marvel jerseys, and those are being auctioned right now. It's a little different than our previous auctions of the year. MLB, with the partnership of Marvel, requires that we use their auction platform online. So anyone that's interested in bidding on those jerseys, just go to milbauctions.com, and it has all the information there. Very cool jersey. Again, these are not sold in the team shop. If you want to get one of these game-worn jerseys, go to milbauctions.com.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, all right.
The auction will close Saturday night, so
good.
Benefiting the El Paso Chihuahuas Foundation. It's a good thing.
Excellent. And then also we've got coming up on Sunday, that'll be Kids Day as well, where kids can run the bases, and always a big promotion to wrap up the weekend.
Yeah, it's the only game that's a 6:05 first pitch. Gates at 5 o'clock. The rest of the week 6:35, but Sunday is a 6:05 first pitch. Kids run the bases after the game, so they love that. They got the kids meal deal also available for the kids 12 and under. Come out to the ballpark.
Had a couple questions. This came in from Gator Richard. Wanted to know, what are the best ways to combat dynamic pricing if you're at the game? What do you do to try to maybe get the best possible deal?
Yeah, it's always buy early. Yeah, the earlier that you purchase your tickets, the more availability there is, obviously. But yeah, the dynamic pricing really starts to hit as you get closer to the event. So if you plan ahead and you know you're going to want to come to a Chihuahuas game, just make that decision a week or two earlier than you normally would.
I'll say this. I was looking right now for Thursday night's game, which, again, we talked about with Cade Flannery. You can sit in the lawn for $13. And they've got Section 200s for $16. So there's still some very good deals even this week if you buy those tickets a few days in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you got to pull that trigger today. But there's even better pricing than that if you bought those tickets a week ago.
Very true. Last question. He wanted to know, best tips on getting the military discount.
Yeah, the military discount's found on govx.com. So with your military ID, and I've never done this before. I'm not a military first responder or government employee, but using your government email address, it'll give you access to this, and it'll give you those savings.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think you've got it knocked out. You've done it again. You've covered everything, and I feel like it's going to be a terrific homestand. Anytime Oklahoma City comes into town, yes, there's a handful of teams in this league that draw a crowd when the road team shows up.
Absolutely. And Chihuahuas are due for a couple wins. So
let's hope so.
We're going to have some fun this week and hope everyone joins us at Southwest University Park.
Fantastic. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by, Andy.
Thanks, Steve.
You got it. Andy Imfeld, folks, joining us here. 41 past the hour as Sports Talk continues. Come back with more in a moment. 600 ESPN El Paso. Continue. Alberto Urueta is here today. He came in because in the second hour of the program, it will be the Cade McConnell farewell hour. Cade has been with us for about a year, and he's not leaving, but he's going to be focusing on something other than this show, and that's trying to win the starting job here where fall camp starts later this week. So Cade's going to drop by in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk about his camp and how that went and what he's focusing on. And I like that, Alberto. You even decided, even though you're spending the whole week on Buzz and the Q, to come in today and hang out with us because you know if Cade's here at 5, you want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I even wore my Cade shirt. I'm hoping to take a picture when he comes. I'm excited to say my farewell off air more than anything. So, yeah.
That's good.
I might even cry. I might even shed a tear.
Yeah, you get emotional?
I do sometimes.
You know, I have my Cade shirt in my office. Maybe I'll put that on too. We'll all be wearing it.
Yeah, I've got a
Does
couple
everybody
back
have
here.
Cade shirts?
I have a couple back here. I think we can make it happen.
Let's all wear Cade shirts when Cade shows up.
Don't let them in until we actually throw them on, okay? So let's do it.
That would be good. All right.
Yeah, it feels like, we're parents in a way, Steve. All of us, like collective group here, are like parents of Cade in this whole journey. And now it's time to send our kid to camp. Literally, fall camp is right around the corner here for UTEP football.
I know. It's crazy. Well, that's just what happens. You know, that's part of it. But I'll say this is that, yeah, I do have a kind of, I do feel a little weird. Like, part of me knows how good he is with us and how much we've kind of gotten used to what he brings to this show on such a regular basis and how much we like Cade. But the other part of us is like, hey, you've got a little, you've got a job to do right now. Go win the starting job. Go get there, be under center for Nebraska, and stay healthy, and show this coaching staff what you can do over the next 3 weeks of fall camp. And if that means not coming in here, we're okay with that. There's, as much as he loves the radio show, his priority is trying to be the UTEP starting quarterback, and that's what we all want to see.
You know, one of the other parts to this right here with Cade saying his farewell for a little bit, coming back onto the program, he'll have his whole life to talk, the rest of his life to talk about sports and to talk with us here on the show until he graduates from UTEP or until he moves on from here in El Paso. But, he only has this window of opportunity right now to actually be the starting quarterback.
That's right.
This is, you got to take advantage of these opportunities right here.
Not to mention, when he started coming in last year and said he was interested in maybe hanging out a little bit and learning the ropes, he was a 4th on the depth chart, and let's be honest, we probably thought he had no chance ever to see the field during a season last year, let alone be thrust into the starting lineup and spend half the season as the UTEP quarterback.
Yeah, I think that it's really fair for me to say, and by the way, he's here, so we're all going to lose out on this plan right here. But we can all throw it on. We're just going to say, hey, we got it. We'll be right back, and then let's all just throw it on right after that. That's the way to go.
That sounds good. We'll do that. All right. That sounds like a winner to me. So we got Cade McConnell coming by here in our 5 o'clock hour. And then Peter Schwartzbein's going to join us coming up at 6. Peter is going to talk about a big event that will be happening later this week here in El Paso. In fact, it is going to be the ADL Southwest Remembering August 3rd, moderated by Robert Holguin, Memory, Trauma, and Extremism. And this is going to be something that Peter is going to be talking about with us. It's going to be this Thursday, 5:30 to 7 o'clock at the Philanthropy Theater in El Paso. So excited about that.
I can't wait for that, Steve. I mean, just to have Peter back on the show. They've done so many great things when it comes to helping people who are still, dealing with it. When it comes to remembering the horrible events, the tragedy that happened on August the 3rd, 2019. It's a day that should never be forgotten here in El Paso. It's also a time and period here where our city rallied around each other, really provided a lot of resources, help, and just support for all the people who were involved and just for our city being involved in this horrible tragedy that happened. This is what we're talking 5 years now removed from 2019.
5 years removed. Hey, by the way, did you notice something? Cade just showed up early, and he's not going to get on the microphone until the 5 o'clock hour because it's his farewell hour. He brought a couple of high-end bottles of water, and all I'm thinking about is how Alberto should have done the same exact thing at the gym when that girl that was interested in him wanted a bottle of water. All he had to do was spring for some Foy Springs water, some alkaline water, like Cade brought. So how about that? He shows up with the special water, and all I think about right now is Alberto. And do you realize this could have been you? It should have been you. You realize that, right? All she wanted was a bottle of water at the gym, and you wanted to have her drink out of your Gatorade bottle.
Look, we had $3 Gatorade at the house. Water at the house. It's like, no, I'm not getting you water. And she got water, so
It was her gym membership, though, you were on.
Yeah.
But
She
don't
didn't
you
have a
feel
car, though, so it's
don't
like...
you feel like if it was her gym membership and she treated you and she wanted water, don't you feel
I'll leave her there.
obligated?
I should have left her there.
Left her at the gym?
It's been like, I see how you get home then. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
my God.
The
Look at
story
this.
will never
It
end.
will never
I was
end.
telling it to the KISS crew today.
To the KISS crew, not the Q crew? Well, the Q crew already
Well,
knows
the Q
about
crew
it.
knows it, but
Yeah.
I was after the shows. Told it to the KISS. They
I
liked it
thought that you guys both had memberships and were just meeting at the gym.
No.
I didn't realize she had the membership, invited you. You know, that makes you
I
look
told
even,
you
makes you
that.
look even worse.
too. Hey, I picked her up, bought her water, and dropped her off. And also, she acted really weird in the gym.
What do you mean she acted weird in the gym?
That's something we could talk about on air.
Off air?
Off air. But yes. And so she
You,
was gambling that I didn't leave her there.
Did you
No, wait.
spot for her? What'd you do?
No.
Why'd she act weird?
She's just acting weird. It was okay. Her main focus at the gym was not to work out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it
So
to
it was like
to
as soon as-
be seen. Did she show up with a bunch of
yes,
makeup?
but
at
it
the
was
gym?
also late.
All right.
it's also
all right,
really
listen,
late.
I wish I had
We
time
can,
for
we
this.
oh yes, we don't.
I
We
don't.
No need
This
to
is
go
this
into
is
detail.
another. We will explore your personal life at another time.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. The Cade Hour is coming up next. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso.
Adrian Broadus.
Welcome back, everybody. Start of hour number 2 here on Sports Talk. We got a full house. Michael Plundo's here. Alberto Dueta is doing double duty today because he's spent the morning with Buzz on the queue. He's back with us today. He said he had to come because it's Cade McConnell's farewell day today on the air. Now, it's not like he's leaving us forever. He's leaving us for like a month, but there's a reason for that. He's got another job to do, not just spend it with us a couple of times a week and talk sports and interview people on Talking Under Center, which you will continue doing, but you got an opportunity to try to go out and get yourself that starting job again for the upcoming season.
Exactly. I mean, we've always said this since the moment I got here, and you guys have been so accommodating, but football's always going to come first. That's the whole reason of, why I wanted to get into this in the first place, why I wanted to be here was because of being an athlete and trying to give, that alternate perspective and enjoying talking about sports. But that love comes from playing it. So when it's fall camp time is literally the definition of blocking everything else out and spending your days playing football. And that's it.
Well, I understand. And what's more interesting to me about fall camp is just like spring camp, the practices will be closed outside of individual workouts and drills. So when you guys get down to business, it's just going to be you and really no other outside interference as, you put on the pads and prepare for the upcoming season in Nebraska.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this. The truth of the matter is that fall camp is designed to take your team from point A all the way up top as high as you can go before you hit the season time, and the way to do that is you basically stick the team in that facility, and you don't come out for 3 weeks is essentially how it happens, and you try to get as much extra work and as much time spent man hours on the field and in the meeting room and in the weight room trying to get your body ready so that by the time August 31st rolls around, every single person's on the same page.
Do you think we'll even have time to spend with you this season? Or will this be a deal where you think you might end up being, 5 days a week at least, preparing with meetings and coaches and film study and practice and everything else? I mean, what do you think? You think we're going to get a chance to spend a little time with you during the year?
Yeah, I absolutely think we're going to get some time to spend, on the air during the year. I don't know exactly what our schedule will look like. Who knows? Maybe me and you are recording a segment on a weekend or a day that, may not line up with the afternoon show. But I definitely want to stay on here in some capacity throughout the season. Hopefully that's live like we're doing exactly right now. And hopefully there's, a couple times during the week where I have free. But if not, we're going to make it work because I love it too much.
Well, I'm also a little superstitious. So when you came with us last season, look what ended up happening 6 games into the year. You got thrust into it and you played the rest of the season. So obviously we feel like, we got to keep that mojo going and have you back with us and keep you with us.
Absolutely. I mean, and then player aside, let me take my player cap off for a second and put on my, being on the show media cap with you guys. it's cool to have a player on during the season that can talk about in detailed stuff with the listeners. You guys and everybody else that's listening is not in the huddle. I am about as close as you could possibly get to knowing everything that is going on inside of that football program, and I'll divulge as much as I can on here in order to give insight, to talk about it with people, and to kind of give that cool angle that I've been able to do since I came on.
Take us back to Saturday, your first ever camp, which I heard was a big success for you and everybody involved out at Canutillo High. Now that it's all in the books and done, give me your thoughts on how everything went.
Steve, I truthfully could not be more grateful and more happy with how everything went. I mean, Adrian, my agent Alex, David Garman with 915 Tours, all of our sponsors. I'm not naming all of them right there, but we had so many people come together in order to make this camp what it was. It taught me a lot. There's a lot of things that go into a football camp in order to make it special and run well for everybody out there, whether that's shirts or getting a venue or sponsors to help make sure everything is taken care of and whatnot. It was fantastic. A huge shout out as well to Judah Zenwa, Trey Goodman, Oscar Moore, and AJ Odoms, the players on the team that came out there. They did a fantastic job at coaching with me. I felt like because the camp was smaller, we were able to focus our coaching so well on each kid, and all the feedback that we got after was wonderful. There was a segment of the camp towards the end where we fed them lunch. We had lunch catered by Chiba Hut. Shout out to them. They was actually my first time having Chiba Hut, and they were great sandwiches.
Good. I'm excited for you.
Oh, it was wonderful. And then as we were eating lunch, we were kind of just talking with all the kids, letting them ask us questions, giving them advice, maybe something that we wish we would have known if we were in high school, before we had gotten to college, all those type of things. And, not only did they ask a ton of questions and they were very open and honest with us and good communication, but they also gave us great feedback. They were like, I'm so thankful that I came to this camp. I'm so thankful that, I was here and able to work with you guys because I felt like I got such good work in and I had a great time. Let me know when next year's camp is, was kind of all their takeaway from it. And for someone who just wanted the camp to go good, that's all I wanted. I mean, that was the biggest compliment I could have had.
And you also had an NFL vet join you at the same time, didn't you?
We did. NFL vet Kirk Merritt, who was graduated from Arkansas State and then went undrafted to the Dolphins, then moved over to the Saints, now plays in the UFL for the Houston Roughnecks, and he was so awesome to have out there. I had not met Kirk before then, and you never know. Sometimes with a guy who's an NFL vet, he could have, maybe been standoffish or been like, wow, this is a really small camp. Why am I out here? No, not the attitude at all. He was nothing but gracious and excited to be out there. He was like, no, this is a perfect size camp. This is exactly what I want. This is how you interact with the kids and, potentially impact them. And, you never know. You could say something that's life-changing to them that they hold for the rest of their football career. So extremely grateful to Kirk and him coming out. Hope he had a wonderful stay at his during his time in El Paso for this past weekend. And thank you to him for being with the kids the way he was.
How was the blue turf? How'd you like that for the first time?
No, it was good. It was my second time, Steve. I actually coached a camp. I helped Tyron Smith and Gavin Hardison coach a little camp there last year, and it was pretty cool to be on. I was like, wow, this is probably what Boise State is somewhat like. And it was really cool. Thank you to Coach Brooks for allowing us to go out to Canutillo and to use those facilities. They have great equipment, great field, great stands, parking, all that stuff, and it was very seamless.
Good. I'm excited for you, for your teammates, for the athletes that were there. I mean, we're talking middle school, high school football players, and it sounds like you had a pretty good mix of all three positions: quarterbacks, receivers, and DBs.
We did. I think we had a pretty much even split between all of them. We might have had a few more DBs and wide receivers than quarterbacks, which is actually perfect because those guys' legs are running, so you need a couple extra ones. Meanwhile, quarterbacks are kind of standing back there looking pretty and throwing the ball. So it was nice to have the mix that we did. And here's the thing, Steve, I think we did so many things right this camp. That only could have been possible with the team that was around me, giving me guidance and advice of how these things go. But I think that there's also so much to learn from that we could do too. Little small tweaks and maybe some different timing here or different timing there. And this camp could be even that much better next year, which is just exciting to see because I thought this one went so well.
Good. I feel like when you come back to us after fall camp, you could be bringing players throughout the season. There might be a list of guys that want to come on and join you, because I know Trey Goodman loves to talk, and he did a terrific job at Media Day and was with you while we were out at the Super Bowl a few months back, and other players as well, that now that they know what your other little side job is, they might want to come on and spend some time with you here.
No doubt. Everybody actually from the team that I've, casually been like, hey, you want to come on and talk on the radio? They've been fantastic. Like, how much fun did we have with Otis Pitts when he called in and we were talking about chicken wings, Trey Goodman did a fantastic job coming on, and just about every other day, Judah Zenwan talks my ear off about how he wants to come on and be on the show again. So
good.
You could see a lot of players coming through here in the next few months getting into the season.
I'm excited about that. I'm looking at all posters right behind you, and what's funny? I've had track and field, cross country, soccer, volleyball, beach volleyball, basketball. I think I've even had golf. We need to get tennis down the road. You think that's something we could ever make?
Tennis is there.
No, I know tennis is the posters up there, but we haven't had a tennis player on the show before.
Good point.
We should.
What is up with that? And do you think we can find a way to talk to UTEP and maybe get UTEP tennis represented on this program?
No, yeah, I think we could. I'm really good friends with a lot of them. I think that, there's a player named Hannah Telzinska who I think would be great to have on, and Carlota Mencalia. Yeah, both fantastic choices to have on. Returning players, they're going to be great for the show.
Good. Okay. So, and there was some rumors that, maybe the tennis players were a little standoffish. That's why they haven't come on the program. That is incorrect. You're telling me that if we reach out to UTEP and tell them we want to bring some tennis players on, we probably could get some in the studio.
Yes, they're just probably a little shy, Steve. A lot of them have accents because they're foreign players, and they've told me before when I've talked to them about it that they could be a little shy to get on the mic.
Well, let's put it this way. If you think about Naisha Berger, and how she joined us, and how shy she was the first time. And by the way, you know where she is now? She's in Paris.
Yep.
That's right. She's competing in the Olympic Games. So, we've had her on twice right now. We're probably going to get her on again when she comes back. So, the UTEP track team always joins us, and we get foreign athletes all the time. So, sounds like for us, tennis will be right up our alley from what we're talking about.
No doubt. Absolutely. We'll make sure to get some of them on.
All right, good. I'm excited about that as well. 12 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk, 505-6009. That is our telephone number. Are you ready for fall camp? That's a question we haven't asked you yet, because here you are. You've been enjoying your summer. I know it's been workouts, team stuff, a little free time for you to just, have a little downtime. Are you ready to get back to work this week and change it up, knowing that now it's real? Like, this is where it starts, and this is what it's all about.
Absolutely. And hear exactly what I'm saying and not what I'm not saying. This offseason, I wanted to make it a goal. With the free time, the little free time that we have as football players, that when I'm in the building and I'm working, it's strictly football. But I made it a point this offseason to try to do as much as I could outside of football, whether that was doing community service events with the team out in the community, going to the Boys and Girls Club or the Children's Hospital, or whether it's having a passing camp, or, going on and being on the Sports and More podcast. I've tried to do a lot, in this community, or be more immersive and do some really cool things outside of it, kind of in that realm of things. And that's all been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I've had a wonderful time. But there's a little bit of bliss and peace in knowing that, for the next 3 weeks, especially through fall camp, there won't be a podcast. There won't be a passing camp. There's not going to be talking under center and finding somebody to interview. There's really going to be nothing outside of it other than get your sleep, wake up, get to the facility, do football, do some more football, maybe some more football, and then when the night ends, the night's over and it's time to repeat and go. And for somebody who truly loves it, and I do, I really, really do, for the people who truly love it, that there's a little bit of bliss in that. There's a little bit of peace in that, knowing that you get to block everything else in life out. Your phone stops ringing. You don't really pay attention to it anymore, and the only thing that you're doing is football. And it's kind of peaceful knowing that.
How crazy is it that we're talking about it this way, where you're vying for a starting job? Last year, you're about 1+ year into, I guess, being with us here on this show, Cade. But how crazy is it that you're talking now as possibly going for a starting job versus where you were last year? And you were really happy to be on the team. You were happy to be a part of that quarterback room, supporting all those guys, and then rose up the depth chart as the season progressed.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Last year when I was on the show with you guys, I don't think anybody here, maybe including myself, although I never doubted my abilities, the position that I was in wasn't one to go out and play, at least not foreseeably. And then, things happen for a reason. And if last season hadn't gone the way they did with injuries and fate and whatnot, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really good chance that if I never got to play last year and didn't get to showcase what I can do, that I would be the person that was probably better suited for the transfer portal in terms of not having a spot here at UTEP. And so I'm very, very grateful that things happened the way they did because I love this city, because I love this team. I love being a UTEP Miner. And now I have a chance to go out and continue to battle to be the guy that steps out, under center on August 31st against Nebraska. And I will never take that for granted. I will never, ever, ever forget the feeling of sitting back home in California in JUCO, just hoping that one school gave me a chance. I just want a chance to have a scholarship. UTEP came around the corner and gave me that opportunity, and I will never take that for granted.
Life is pretty interesting the way it works, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of things that have to happen exactly right, Steve, for me to be sitting across from you right here talking about being the quarterback for the UTEP Miners.
Couldn't agree with you more. All right, Cade's here with us, folks. We got about 45 minutes to go in the hour. You want to weigh in? Questions for Cade. Hey, listen, he's been doing this for a year. We hardly take questions for him, but if you've been listening to Cade and you want to get in and have any questions regarding Cade or the 2024 UTEP Miners, now's the time to do it. Let's take calls for the next 45 minutes, folks. 505-6009, that's our telephone number. Lines are open, 505-6009. More with Cade as we go to Charlie 1 and get ourselves this traffic update. And broadcast that on 600 ESPN. How great would that be?
Oh, we have to do it, man. We have to do it. New Mexico is such a great rivalry for UTEP, and I'll call it a rivalry. Let's call it what it is. It's a Monday night. We might only have things like Monday Night Football, Steve, which we can work around on our end. It would be so cool to have that game here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
And it's an open game. It's not closed, which makes it even better because fans can go and we can obviously broadcast it. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and I don't want to rush to this one right here. I heard through the grapevine that this one could be benefiting some group right now. I don't want to say anything until we obviously know that one.
We've got two lines open. We've got Chuco on the phones. We've got questions for Cade coming in on Twitter and X and on the phone lines as well. You can also send it to us on the app for our final 35 minutes together. Chuco, welcome aboard. How are you today?
Doing good, Steve. Great to hear from you guys.
You too, Chuco. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Cade, I wanted to ask you, I follow, some of these Instagram accounts talking about, or X accounts, about what they think our season will look like record-wise. And I get frustrated because I'm like, well, what team are they looking at? So my question to you is, do you place any, do you even look at those? Do you or your teammates, how do you react to other people's predictions?
That's a great question, and yes, I do see that stuff. It's almost impossible not to see. If you follow any type of sports media, whether or not you actually follow those accounts or not, they're going to pop up through your feed, so you see them. As the calm, cool, collected quarterback in me, it says, no, I don't pay any attention to it. They can rank whatever they want to rank, and I know exactly the identity of this team. But last week on Talking Under Center, I interviewed Aiden Childs, quarterback for Michigan State, and he put it awesome, and I loved it, and I share the same mentality as him. I love that. Rank us lower. Rank us the last in the division so that we can come out and excite everybody and shock everybody and make this season more of a surprise and more hype than it could have ever been. And if you're a player that loves to win as the underdog, then we're in a perfect spot because I think they have us ranked 9th or whatever it is, second to last, I think, in a lot of the rankings. Sure, go ahead, Conference USA or whoever's making those rankings, rank us low. That's fine. We know the identity of the team that we have. We're all we got, and we're all we need. And it's just time to go out and show that, out on the field. There's no words that can back that up. It's only the play.
Well, me as a fan, I can back up that sentiment where, think what you want, but I really do believe that you guys are just going to, definitely raise some eyebrows and make a big impact. And I wish you the best this season. And, go Miners.
Thank you, Chuco, and go Miners. I appreciate you. And the other thing, too, is that, by what I mean by we're all we got and we're all we need, and it's El Paso. It's not just a football team. It's not just the guys on the roster. We need the fans in the stands. We need that kind of support. We need to know that Sun Bowl is going to be packed out, and when we score a touchdown, the other team hears the roar from the crowd. Like that's the type of stuff that we need in order. That's just as much of a component as a winning team and a winning culture as whatever's out on the field. The fans in the stands are a massive part of a football game. And we're ready for El Paso to be behind us this year.
Good job. Appreciate you, Chuco. Thanks for the call. Thanks for getting in today as we continue here on Sports Talk. This came in on the app from 5 Points Guy. Steve, I can't go to a gas station anymore and buy bottled water without thinking of Alberto's last $3.
That's
Who said that?
5 Points Guy.
Oh, thanks, 5 Points Guy.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're in 5 Points, you can hit up 5 Points Guy, man.
Yeah.
You can.
Man, I just out of curiosity, does that Foy Springs alkaline water cost more than $3?
Yes.
You know what? I am not sure because they were the wonderful water sponsor for my camp. So
nice.
they sponsored these boxes, and there was a little bit left over, so I'm still rocking a few bottles of the Foy Springs. So shout out to Foy Springs for being amazing tasting water and sponsoring the camp.
That's good. But what do you? Why did you say yes before I could even finish the sentence? How do you know that water costs more than $3?
A water connoisseur.
Are you?
I know what water's worth. I know what it's going for.
Really? All right. Have you seen Foy Springs before today?
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for confirming that for me.
Wait, I got a quick question.
She
for
wasn't
Alberto.
good enough for Foy Springs. I get it.
This is off topic of water. Are you hot in what you're wearing right now?
No, not that hot.
Can we
It's like
let
a
the
night compression. It's
Yeah.
not that hot. I know what you mean because of the layers, but no, I feel good.
Right, the long sleeve compression. Like that's what I'm wearing when
The
it's cold
slacks.
in December playing a football game.
No, I like this one. I wish it was the Under Armour one. This is the night compression. The Under Armour compressions with the little collar remind me of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, the little turtleneck collar.
Yes, and every time I see one, I'm like, Peyton Manning would be rocking one like that.
Hey, that's some football drip right there.
Yes,
so you gotta
it really
get one.
is.
Yeah,
He would always wear that one, the little collar.
I love it.
All right. Good stuff. I'm happy we brought this up. Don't you feel better?
I do.
I do,
The
too.
people needed to know.
They did need to know. I agree with that completely. All right. Excellent. From Alberto to Leo_Miners fan on Twitter and X, Mr. Cade, he tweets, I'm very concerned for the offensive line this year. I believe if UTEP is going to exceed any expectations, the O-line is going to have to perform well. Will the fast-paced offense help or hurt the UTEP O-line?
First of all, whether you have a fast-paced offense or a slow-paced offense, it's all about how your O-line adjusts to that. So some of those O-linemen are coming over from Austin Peay where they've already done this, and some of our O-linemen are having to adjust to it. But, I mean, your feeling is very normal, and here's what I mean by this. When you have a young group of guys, or quite frankly, a lot of O-linemen that you've never seen play before, that's a very natural feeling. But in order to be a good football team, you have to have those players step up. I had never taken a first snap before my first snap. And now I'm not considered someone who's a rookie that has never seen the field before. But there has to be that passing of the torch. Last year we were very blessed with an offensive line that was full of veterans, full of seniors, all guys that either transferred Power 5 or got drafted or signed to the NFL. I mean, that is exceptional even for a Power 5 school. Or I guess Power 4 now. But there has to be that passing of the torch. There's at some point in time, there's got to be guys who are young that step up and that show that they're they're on scholarship too, and they're in that spot for a reason. And so that's the position that our offensive line is. They got to step up. They got to show that maybe I haven't had the seasoned veteran playing time of last year's offensive line, but that's part of football. That's part of college football in graduation and moving on and not having forever eligibility. So I'm not worried for our O-line this year. I think they've acclimated extremely well during spring ball. I'm excited to see how they continuously grow through fall camp just like the rest of the team, and I think it's going to be a really good thing with that fast tempo.
More questions coming in, 505-6009, 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and X, and our free app. The ways to get right on into the show. Let's go to Michael Plundo standing by. He has another Sports Center update as we hit the bottom of the hour. And you didn't spill the beans on this one.
Well, you know what, dude? I got to tell you, I am so freaking excited about UTEP football this year that I'm going to just put all my sour grapes behind me and go out and support this team like I've never done it before. I don't know if Cade knows this or not. Last week, Victor Martinez from the El Paso Inc. and myself got to spend about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, with Coach Walden. We're doing a big spread on him in our next magazine that's coming out with the El Paso Inc. It's our fall edition. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it, but I can tell you that I saw some of it today, and there are going to be some very happy UTEP fans when this magazine comes out.
Awesome. And it sounds to me like you're pretty impressed with what you've seen after that 90 minutes with Coach Walden.
Oh, I tell you what, I knew and had seen his enthusiasm before, but to be able to sit down and spend that time with him just one-on-one like we did with him, people really, really, like Cade just said a little while ago, the fans in El Paso, they really need to get behind this team, because I tell you what, there's going to be some big things happening up at UTEP inside that Sun Bowl. There is.
Absolutely,
And,
there is.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, there is, Ruben. And the other thing too that I think why Steve was puzzled was 10:30 on Thursday was the scheduled timing for our first practice. Tomorrow is our report day.
Okay.
We'll be there the whole day, getting meetings done, getting everything set in stone, and getting ready for fall camp. Thursday will be our first practice at 10:30.
I'm puzzled because I was wondering if Ruben got the gig to be photographing UTEP football this year and didn't tell me about it. That's what I wanted to know.
No. UTEP Athletics has their people, and I can tell you this. I've worked with a few of them, and I know there's some newbies in there who I don't know. I wish them all the best. Everything that I've seen that they've done with you guys during the off season, amazing stuff. I got to tell you, so far my favorite is that lowrider video that you all shot in the Sun Bowl. That was epic.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like I tell you, I'm looking forward to being out there, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm biased. I'm going out there, and I'm going to watch the team. But Cade, I can't wait to see what you do, buddy. Because, like I've told you before, and I'm not embarrassed to say it again. I hope Coach gives you a really, really good chance. It gives you the opportunity to go out there and start with this team. Because I got to tell you, and you know this already. I'm your biggest fan next to your parents, bro.
I appreciate you.
Rube, always good stuff, man. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for the time, as always.
Ruben, I appreciate you
for taking my call. I appreciate you, Cade. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you so much.
You know what's interesting, guys? We have a lot of people who claim that they're like the president of the Cade McConnell fan club.
Oh, it's true.
You know, Ruben Ramirez right there, big friend of the program. We have who's our other boy?
How about Eddie
Enrique?
Morelos?
Yeah, Eddie Morelos is on that list. Enrique is on that list, who calls
yeah.
on the show a bunch of times. They all claim to be the number one Cade McConnell fans out there.
I need I would love to get after the game one day, walking back through the mine shaft where there's kind of some people that line up where we get to see him as we walk back into the locker room. I would love for all those people to be there one day on coordination and get a photo with all them. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. 37 past the hour as we continue. 505-6009, our telephone number. When we come back, I got to get your thoughts on the brand new player NIL that has just dropped selling player merch. And get your thoughts on this. I think you talked about it with us last week on the show.
Are you talking about the replica jerseys?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I like those.
Yes.
I like those. I think it's a very cool idea. I like those too. And
it's wonderful.
Looking forward to seeing those continuing to drop. What do you think, Adrian?
I think that sounds like a great plan, Steve. I feel like those looked great. I saw them jump on social media late last week, and I love them. I thought they look really nice.
I do too. So we'll get a chance to do that. We'll get to more of your comments as we continue. Oh, wait a minute. You have to get out of here, don't you? You've got to go
pretty soon.
Well, I mean, I don't want to keep you till the end. Let's just extend this segment and then we'll say goodbye to you.
Okay, sounds good.
So NIL, do you like the line? Do you like what we've seen? And really, I think we touched on this last week when Adrian wasn't here, but talking about the opportunity that players now have their merch being sold.
I think that's awesome. UTEP is doing something that, quite honestly, a lot of other schools have done, but now they're implementing it, and these are the type of things that you want to see for athletes in order to, not fall behind. Because, quite honestly, if you don't do these things, you start falling by the wayside, and other schools have it, and that just puts you one step behind the 8 ball. Luckily, we're doing this, and it's so cool. It's that same type of feeling that you see yourself in a video game. Well, now that your replica jersey is being sold and potentially in the bookstore, I mean, how awesome is that? I'm going to go in there to check out books later this year, and maybe my jersey will be up there in the bookstore, and I'll see an 11 jersey for everybody to buy. And if not, everybody can definitely buy it online. So super, super cool by UTEP.
This came from Jacob Matthew on Twitter and X after DeMayer LC was so excited that you gave his Sports and More podcast a live shout-out on the air. This is what he had to say, and I'll read this. I think he could easily call a UTEP athletics event already. I heard him a few times and immediately knew that if his football talent is anywhere near the talent he's got in between the ears, he can absolutely execute whatever UTEP is trying to do on offense. So Jacob Matthew, another big fan of yours after listening to you here on the radio show.
Jacob, you're the man. Thank you. And as the quarterback, I hope I have something going on between the ears, or else this football team's going to be in trouble.
Cade, who are some newcomers we need to keep an eye out for during fall camp?
That's such a great question. That's a very hard question, though, Adrian, because so much of this team is new. But let me just pop off a couple, and maybe these are just the first ones that pop into my mind, but there's plenty more out there, I promise you that, because we've had late guys that have transferred in and whatnot. But the first one that's popped into my mind is linebacker Stratton Scheffelt. His father played here at UTEP, I believe, back in the 80s. I don't quote me on that, but I believe back in the 80s. He's a freshman that doesn't look like a freshman to me. He's built and he's built like a junior, but he's also well conditioned, well strengthened in the weight room, and he carries himself in a way that is much more matured than an 18-year-old coming out of high school. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to work his way through that linebacker room, because there was a lot of new pieces there. You don't have the exact veteran that had been at least at UTEP like Tyrese Knight last year. And so having those new faces come in, I'm excited to see how he goes through that. Somebody else that I'm looking forward to, and this is bias specifically, there's a lot of wide receivers I think we need to worry about, but just because my personal experience with them in the spring game, both Kenny Odom and Jaden Smith, a.k.a. Batman is what we call him, from the spring game. I mean, you guys got to see that, but I'm really excited to see how they go and flow through this fall camp, because work with them at times was limited. We're in a quarterback battle right now, so sometimes reps were getting swapped, and sometimes I was in with them, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes guys were hurt, and so a lot of that was kind of mixed up at times. But when I got into the spring game with Kenny and with Jaden, I feel like there was a really good connection there, as well as the rest of the wide receivers. But I'm excited to see how that progresses. Everybody got to see Kenny catch that game-winning touchdown during the spring game, and how his speed was able to be very, very exciting. And then, of course, everybody got to see Jaden Smith, who, if you don't know who that is, that was number 3, the slot wide receiver, who had just about the stickiest hands you possibly could have during the spring game.
All I know is this. We're ready for fall camp to start, ready for the season to start, for that matter. Wish you nothing but the best, as we do every year. You've been great with us on air. We love having you here. You'll be back. We know that. But in the meantime, go take care of business and go win that starting job here to begin the season.
I will. I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. I love all you guys being in here, and it's not too long. It'll be just 3 weeks, a month, and I'll be back in here, and hopefully we'll have a nice, cool, funny episode talking about Alberto's love life when I get back.
I can't wait, and as you realize, if anything happens between now and then, we'll save it for you, because it will be probably one of the great, unforgettable stories to talk about on live radio.
That's right.
Okay. He's Cade McConnell. He joins us here on Sports Talk. Take a timeout, come back, wrap up hour 2 in a moment. 600 ESPN El Paso. She'll be appearing here in El Paso 2 nights from now. That's right. You'll get a chance to meet Kate Flannery, who played Meredith Palmer from The Office, and the actor joins us live on the phones as we continue right now. Kate, it's great to have you on, and first off, thank you so much for calling in today.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for picking up.
Well, listen, I'm excited. I know El Paso's excited to have you, and I'll tell you this. You've had you're one of the busiest people we know. Your resume has done everything from sketch comedy. You're on SCTV, on the national tour. You broke in with The Office and had a huge run there. You've done animation. So I don't even know how you found time during your schedule to detour to El Paso on Thursday night and meet all the Chihuahuas fans at the ballgame.
Let me tell you, Steve, if you invite me to a party, I will show up. seriously, I love a good party. My dad owned a bar in Philadelphia. So, playing an alcoholic and sometimes being one go hand in hand. We're going to have a great time. So if anybody wants to come to the games, come to the Chihuahua games, we'll come on Thursday. We're going to have a good time. We'll take a picture. I'll sign your cast, whatever you want. We'll just make it happen.
Fantastic. Now, growing up in Philadelphia, I mean, you tell me, were you a big sports fan with your dad having a bar, or did you kind of shy away from that?
Absolutely. I'm still a big sports fan. I'm always excited about the Phillies, win or lose. I'm always a Phillies fan. I love the long season of baseball, and they've had an interesting season. They're a little bit of a slump right now, but I think we'll get through. But I just love baseball in general. I think it's one of the best. It's one of the best meaning sports. Like I think there's less douchebags, there's less divas, there's less babies. It's a long season. It's hard to be a diva when you have that many games to play and very few of them have a roof over your head.
I just think also growing up in Philly in the 70s had to be amazing because you had everything. You had the Phils with Mike Schmidt, and they win the World Series. Then you had the Sixers when they were able to get Dr. J towards the latter end of the 70s.
Yes.
You had the, Broad Street
and I
Bullies.
remember when the Flyers won, too, when the Flyers won as well.
That's exactly right. And the Eagles were fun. So, I mean, realistically, that was a good time to be a Philadelphia sports fan.
Absolutely, and I will tell you, when your city wins a national title, it opens up your sense of possibility. It's like you really feel like we won, even though, of course, I didn't step one foot on any of those fields. But it is your team. It's like I just think for all kids, it's just great to be in a state, in a town, at a school where there's winners. It's so infectious, and it's just great life lessons.
Kate, do you spend your time now between your home in Philly and L.A.? Where do you go?
I do. I'm back and forth between Philly and L.A. quite a bit. I try to get to Philly at least once a month. I have a lot of family here. But yeah, and I travel quite a bit for a lot of work and a lot of fan events. There's so many Office fans, and we're just kind of having a moment because of streaming, and I'm just enjoying all of it. And and not everybody from the team can show up. Steve Carell's not going to be there on Thursday. I'm going to be at the Chihuahuas game. But guess what? If you have a favorite Steve Carell story, I'm going to be there. We're going to take a picture. We're going to have a little time, a little eye contact, a little one-on-one. There'll be security, of course, but I'll be there.
Kate, I got to ask you this, too, because as we're all Office fans here, and we all appreciate everything you've done and the whole cast, for that matter, but you mentioned streaming. What Peacock has done with the Superfan episodes, adding all that extra time to the original TV episodes, it's like taking the show and giving it an entirely new identity by meshing all those deleted scenes and extending those episodes.
It's awesome. It's like having another room or two in your house. You're like, what? What is this? Where does this lead to? I've lived here all my life. This can't be. It's so cool.
Are you also possibly in contention for the new Office reboot that's been rumored? Any chance you might have an opportunity to get into that?
I am not in the mix for that. It's going to be a whole new cast and a whole new story. So I'm curious to see what goes on. But it's our old showrunner Greg Daniels, and a lot of the old crew is going to be there. So I'm rooting for him. I really am.
Well, I'll say this: when I was getting a chance to do some research and look at some of your work, and realizing that probably before The Office, your lampshade bit became pretty much a cult classic out there in Southern California, and everybody talking about that. I always wondered on the one of the shows when you had Michael wearing the lampshade and talking about that, if that was like a tribute to you and your act.
It was just an accident. That was in the first Christmas episode where Michael wears a lampshade. And I had a dying lounge act for 20 years called the Lampshades, and we're comedy lounge acts. But yeah, that was a complete coincidence. But that's why we were called the Lampshades, because the life of the party used to put the lampshade on their head. So,
I love it. Kate,
but yeah, that's so funny. You did do your research. You're awesome.
Kate Flannery with us here on Sports Talk as we continue. Will this be your first trip to El Paso?
It will. I'm actually excited.
Okay. Now, I was going to ask you about the best Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia. One thing I know for sure, when you leave El Paso, you will probably have the best Mexican food meal you've ever tasted in your life, assuming that you enjoy eating Mexican food.
I do. You better believe it. I want to try some enchiladas. I want to get me some huevos rancheros for breakfast. I mean, let's do this.
Excellent. And you like a good margarita?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, twist my arm, Steve. Twist my arm.
There's going to be a lot of fans there to see you. From what I've heard, there are just a limited number of VIP packages available, which you can add on either as a season seat member or just buy on epchihuahuas.com. That'll give you the chance to spend a little time before the game with Kate and the meet and greet, and then she'll be out, as you mentioned, taking photos, signing hats, and any other thing you can find, and that's great. And I've heard from people that said that of all the cast members, you are by far the nicest, most accommodating person that you will ever encounter. And I think that's a really tribute to you because, after the show blew up and everybody did what it did, I mean, you could be any kind of person you want, but to have that kind of reputation, to be that friendly, that accommodating, I think it's going to be a real treat to have you in El Paso later this week and let everybody see you.
You're so nice, Steve. Well, I have to tell you, I'm a late bloomer. I was 40 years old when I got the office. I was still waiting tables. I have to tell you, I feel so lucky. And the fact that there's so much love for this show, I'm happy to share it. And like I said, Meredith does not have to be your favorite to show up. Like, just show up anyway. You can tell me your love for Angela or Dwight or anybody else. Like, we'll talk. I'll give you, I'm happy to just hear your stories and meet, and we'll take a picture and, however you want to do it. I know the office means a lot to a lot of people, and it means a lot to us. It really does. Like, we just honor you guys for keeping the show in the conversation, in the zeitgeist. It's so crazy. And the fact that all these kids are listening and watching and getting it on such a smart kids, they get it on such a deep level at a young age, smarter than me.
Did we ever find out what your PhD was when you wrapped up the show?
It was supposed to be in psychology.
Okay, yeah. That I feel like of all the things that happened on that last episode, that was the one that people watched and said, "Wow, that was the jaw dropper of everything."
It was pretty funny. They told me about that line before that, and I felt like they found the perfect place. As a perfect way to reveal that piece of information.
No, listen, I love it. Hey, listen, we'll see you here in a couple of days when you come into town. Thanks so much again for calling in, and it's great getting a chance to talk to you, Kate.
Go Chihuahuas. Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for your time, and we're going to have a great time. Come Thursday night, August 1st. It'll be great. So I'm throwing out the first pitch at 6:15. Get there a little early. There's a VIP at 5:15. You're all VIPs to me, though. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
You got it. She's Kate Flannery, folks. Played Meredith Palmer at The Office as we continue. We'll come back. Final 30 minutes next. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
From the 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studio, here's Steve Kaplowitz and Adrian Broadus.
Welcome back, everybody. As we take you up till 6:30 tonight, Tim Haggerty will join us in a little bit. We'll recap all the trades with Hags, and oh my goodness, Padres were busy. I'll say that. And you have to say goodbye to some of your Chihuahuas, unfortunately, because that's what happens on trade deadline day. Joining us right now on the phone lines is a man that knows the Chihuahuas. He wrote a book about them probably about 8 or 9 years ago now, and I remember that book well because I had a chance to appear in that with Tim Haggerty. I was very excited about that. Meanwhile, he's involved in an event that's going to be happening this Thursday, reflecting on the 5th anniversary of the tragic events of August the 3rd. We're talking about a longtime city council rep, Peter Schwartzbein, who joins us on the program right now. Peter, welcome back to the show. How are you today?
Good, Cappy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. And as you join us on our Longhorn Distributing Hotline, like all of our guests always do, let's talk about what's going to be coming up this Thursday with Remembering August 3rd, Memory, Trauma, and Extremism with the panel discussion that's going to be happening out at the Philanthropy Theater.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, I've been working with the Anti-Defamation League since terming out as city council. The ADL is the oldest and largest anti-hate nonprofit in the United States, dedicated to fighting anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. And one of the things that the ADL has been involved with the El Paso community has been relating to not just other incidents of anti-Semitism or hate crimes, but on August 3rd. It's actually the ADL that discovered the online manifesto of Patrick Crucius in the hours after the attack and shared it with the FBI and local PD. But from where I stand as a former council member now with the ADL, what occurred on August 3rd was extremely traumatic for our community. And 5 years later, as our memory and our language shifts about it, it's important to remember and reflect on what happened exactly there and be able to call it out. I've been a little bit concerned to hear community leaders seemingly forget or not talk about the roots of this hate crime, and feel a little bit concerned that people aren't calling it out for what it was. And I think in order for our community to heal and move forward, it's vitally important that we look at this in a sober lens and say there was a person that came over 11 hours driving to El Paso specifically to target us. It was a crime fueled by hate. It was a crime fueled by xenophobia and racism, and it was a hate crime. And I think that this panel will give us two opportunities. One, to be able to talk about it, to talk about the roots of extremism and what came to El Paso on August 3rd. And two, perhaps more importantly, how can we heal? How can we look at the impact of this hate crime in our community and be able to heal and deal with the grief and the trauma that I think in some ways we never really were able to process and deal with adequately as a community. I think you remember, Steve, and a lot of our viewers, that within 6 months of the August 3rd massacre, we all were impacted by COVID. And a lot of the impacts of that were us being able to be together. And as unique as our community is in El Paso, I think a lot of the ways that we mourn and deal with grief is by being with each other. And that was really difficult to do in the months and years after August 3rd. And so really excited about this panel. We have a great moderator, Robert Holguin. We have a great panel, Bob Moore, CEO and founder of El Paso Matters, Dina Marks, who is the 25-year veteran of ADL Southwest from Houston, who has dealt with a lot of other communities in Texas with hate crimes and extremism, as well as Elizabeth Robles, who is a clinical therapist specializing in grief and trauma. So we're really excited and want the entire community to come out here and learn a little bit more about it and how we can heal and move forward.
So the event starts at 5:30, goes till 7 o'clock this Thursday, Peter, at the Philanthropy Theater. If people are interested in attending, what should they be able to do? Do they just arrive to the Philanthropy Theater Thursday at 5:30, or should they contact somebody in advance? How does that work?
So great question. So what we're asking is for everybody to be able to register. Registration is required for attendance. Really simply, there's two ways that they can do it. They can reach out through my email at pschwartzbein@adl.org. That's P as in Peter, S as in Sam, V as in Victor, A, R as in Robert, Z as in Zebra, B as in Boy, EIN as in Nancy at adl.org. Or you can visit our website, support.adl.org/El Paso Remembers. And, if there's a way that y'all might be able to put a quick web story on this too, be able to share that as well. But support.adl.org/El Paso Remembers will send a link where you can register before the event.
Peter, it's been almost 5 years, and it's one of these events that this city will never forget. It's simply put, we'll mourn this day. We'll mourn August 3rd every year as the anniversary arrives and comes up. But at the same time, I still believe, as somebody that has now lived in El Paso, almost 45 plus years, that brought this community together more than ever before. I've always felt that El Paso was tight. El Paso was familia. That has been something that has been, mentioned over and over again prior to that. But what happened on that day is something that, to me, just turned this city into a much tighter knit group than we've ever had before.
Absolutely. I will never forget in the hours after the attacks, driving around the block on Mesa Hills and literally seeing 2 times wrapped around a line of people waiting to donate blood at the blood center that was right there off of Mesa Hills near Wallenberg. I don't know if you remember that. The line was longer than they had the amount of people there, but people wanted to do what they can because that's what it was to be from El Paso. We know that between El Paso and Juarez, we don't have anybody else. We are an island here, and that means that we look out for each other as well. And that's some of the best things that we saw. We saw people waiting in hot weather on August 3rd, and we saw people passing out waters for the people that were waiting there as well. And it really did, you're absolutely right, bring out a lot there too. But part of that as well is also understanding why this happened here and making sure that we can be able to talk about it as well. Being El Paso strong is more than just, being able to help out each other. It's being able to be vulnerable, to be able to listen to ourselves and know when we're hurting as well. This community really came together in the months and weeks and years after, but we also need to understand what we can do together to move forward and to deal with this new reality that's there. You still go into a Sam's or a Walmart and you still see police officers 5 years later that are manned at the front. It gives us a sense of encouragement and a sense of comfort to see our boys in blue there, but we also need to understand why this happened here and make sure that we live in a world that is, filled with less hate and with less racism, a community and a world that listens to each other, that is more inclusive, that celebrates our differences, and is able to disagree without being disagreeable.
Peter, this is Adrian back here. I was looking at the flyer for the ADL Southwest event that's coming up, the panel, and the photo that's used recognizes and remembers the memorial that was out there on the backside of the Walmart area. I remember that one in particular for me because it was one of those where I really wanted to go, but I couldn't go right away. It was kind of too soon for me to go. But after I went, it was a month after August 3rd, and I got to see it. I was so impressed by the fact that people continued to add more flowers, more things to remember the victims who tragically lost their lives on August 3rd. And that memorial will kind of always remind me how the city rallied around everything and really always wanted to support and give back.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. The photo that you referenced is one of the photos that I made there in the weeks and months after visiting there. I worked alongside Representative Rivera and a number of different Rotary clubs that helped maintain that makeshift memorial in the weeks and the months after. And to me, that was one of the most solemn and honest and heartfelt expressions of our culture, of our community here on the border, of people coming every single day, prayer circles, sources of meditation, bringing flowers, bringing gifts. One thing that will forever stick with me was there was a 3x5 foot banner that was sent to the Jewish Federation in El Paso that I had a chance to put up from the JCC, from the Jewish Community Center of Pittsburgh, that was signed by preschool and kindergarten students, Jewish and non-Jewish students who were impacted from Pittsburgh from a year before from the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, another hate crime that impacted the United States in those years. And to have those names up there in solidarity, speaking in support, understanding what our community was going through from a hate attack was something that was really impactful. But that generosity that you're seeing there is still played out. One of the things I'm really grateful for is that we were able to have an event sponsor that covered the cost to make sure that this event could be free for the community, and that's Maxi Share and Share Law Firm, who generously donated to sponsor this event as well. Again, as tragic as that was, this community brought out the best of our community in terms of the culture here, in terms of our generosity, and in terms of just our I mean, literally people would give their shirt off their backs. That is what it means to be from our community. And to your point as well, even though that makeshift memorial is no longer there, the city of El Paso is officially opening up a permanent memorial in the park right across the street there as well. There's the healing garden from the county as well as the Walmart Candelaria. And then the other thing, too, is that y'all should know as well is that memorial, some of the memorabilia that was saved from that makeshift memorial is on exhibit over the weekend and this week at the El Paso Museum of History as well. It's not an easy day to remember. It's not an easy day to visit, but if we forget, we're bound to repeat it. And so it's important that we never forget, and that we look at this 5 years later, look at those ways that our community came together in a positive way, but also look at ways that we can improve and build a better community and a better society in these times of turbulence in our country.
Well said, Peter. Peter Schwartzbein joining us here on Sports Talk as we continue. In fact, if you would like to attend this Thursday, I think the easiest way to do it is to go to Facebook. You can follow ADL Southwest on Facebook. They've got a Facebook page, and they have the post up for Thursday's event, Remembering August 3rd, Memory, Trauma, and Extremism, and it has all the information on who to contact for RSVPs and everything you need for Thursday. So that's just ADL Southwest on Facebook, and you'll be all set and good to go. And I'll tell you what, Peter, it's you're doing a good thing here with this one. I'm excited about the panelists. It's going to be one of those nights that I think for people that have the opportunity to attend, it'll be good for them, good for El Paso, and happy that you and the panel that you've put together along with Robert Holguin moderating it. Happy you guys are doing this.
Thanks again, and appreciate your support as well, and thanks for letting me share this event. I think it'll be a tough conversation, but an important one for our community.
One completely off-topic conversation that Esteban is asking about is this. How could Peter write a book about the Chihuahuas 9 years ago if they were barely established at that time? Would you mind letting Esteban and some of our other listeners understand how the coffee table book came about to begin with and how you were able to put that whole project together?
No, it was it was back in 2013 that the project actually started. So it's a little over 11 years ago. A lot of folks may not know it, but my professional background before coming on to council is I've worked for almost 20 years as a professional photographer and filmmaker. Did my Master's of Fine Arts from the School of Visual Arts in New York, worked as a freelance photographer, was rep by a photo agency in New York, and then came back home to El Paso in 2011, and have been involved and engaged with different community projects, especially in arts in the community. Had a small pop-up gallery in downtown El Paso. With the excitement and momentum of the streetcar and other initiatives in downtown, really wanted to see how I could make an impact and make a difference. And with the announcement of the Chihuahuas coming into town, or really with the announcement of the ballpark idea, I thought it would be a really great project to document. And so I reached out kind of as a way to present a year-long documentary on what was a project called It's More Than Baseball, because that downtown, that Southwest University Park, is not just about a baseball team. It is about believing in a better future for El Paso. It's about believing in a downtown that can be a living room and a place to engage all the different neighborhoods of not just El Paso, but this region as well. And so, the ownership and everything saw the vision. They thought it'd be a great project. They saw a lot of the work that I've done for, other clients like Wall Street Journal, Fortune Magazine, the New York Times. And they wanted to see me document the project. So I was able to go and spend an entire year to document the entire project, from interviewing the Brandios, the folks that came up with the logo, to traveling out to Poteet, Texas, where the grass was grown at King's Ranch, to waking up and being up at 3-4 in the morning alongside the concrete pourers that were out pouring the concrete at 4 a.m. to create the ballpark was just a really fantastic opportunity. And part of that book project was not just a great coffee table book, but a series of about a dozen web videos that highlighted everything from the iron workers to some of the bricklayers to the architects and others as well. Just a really great project, a really great moment in time in El Paso. And that kind of energy has been infectious and led me, to wanting to run for city council and helping our community in other ways than more than just a camera.
Good. I'm happy you brought that up. So now people understand that you actually had a life before you became a city rep and went into politics.
Yes, we are actually people, believe it or not.
I love it. Peter, always great to talk to you. Thanks for the time. And again, appreciate everything. We'll talk to you again back here soon, okay?
All right. Be well, Kathy. Take care.
You too, Peter Schwartzbein with us here on Sports Talk as we continue. 20 past. We'll take a timeout, come back. Chihuahuas will start a little late due to a 15-minute rain delay. 6:45 first pitch now instead of 6:35. Tim Haggerty next on our final countdown right after Charlie 1 in this traffic update. Down here on the show as we wind things up over the next 10 minutes or so and get you out to the ballpark. Tim Haggerty is joining us right now, the voice of the El Paso Chihuahuas. I didn't even realize it rained at the ballpark. When did it actually come down, Hags?
It was at around 5:45, and it briefly came down pretty hard. The Chihuahuas front office staff was right on it, and they got the tarp on the field. So as I speak to you, there's still puddles in the seating rows right now.
Huh.
And they pulled the tarp off, and we're going to have a 6:45 p.m. start instead of 6:35 p.m., But that's interesting. It did not rain at the radio station, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it might have, but, we're kind of isolated here with no windows or anything else. So if it poured here, I would have absolutely no idea. I'd be completely oblivious. Did it rain at the station, boys? What do we know?
We're anchored to the booth here, Steve. We don't know.
See, they don't know either. Nobody knows, Hags. We don't know. I mean,
we should have a weather report daily where Alberto just goes outside and just guesses what it is.
Actually, what Alberto just needs to do is take the curtains every few minutes and take a look, like you're doing right now, and you'll see if it rains at the station or not. We usually know if it rained
Alberto,
around.
go check out the parking lot.
What do you think?
It does not look like it's wet over here. I will be checking.
Yeah, because when I go to my car after the show, if I see any kind of drops on my car, that's when I know that it rained. That's usually my sign, Hags. That's it.
That's good evidence.
Thank you. That's terrific commentary. That's exactly what I expected from you right now. That is spot on, man. Spot on. There's been a lot of trades today, and I guess that's an understatement. I've got 4 pages of MLB transactions to sift through, and as usual, the Padres were busy, and the Padres traded away some of their top prospects, including a couple of guys that have been regulars here with the Chihuahuas this season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the one I was zoning in on here because for half the day today, Graham Pauley was the Chihuahuas' starting second baseman. That's not true anymore. He has packed up a suitcase. As always, very friendly, smiling, but he headed out of Southwest University Park today because he is a Miami Marlin now. Additionally, Adam Mazier, who was recently sent back down by San Diego to El Paso and was scheduled to start in this series against Oklahoma City, that won't happen. He is on his way to Miami as well. So this is a trade deadline that affects the Chihuahuas, and it may affect the Chihuahuas in another way because San Diego acquired multiple pitchers today. With that, somebody's going to have to be sent down, I would think. So I wonder if Alec Jacob or Logan Gillespie, 2 guys that pitched for the Chihuahuas earlier this year that are now in the majors, if maybe they come back. I don't know. I'm curious on that part, too.
I also saw that Enyel De Los Santos was traded today to the Yankees for Brandon Lockridge, who's a 27-year-old outfielder that could be arriving in El Paso later this week. I thought De Los Santos had pitched with the Chihuahuas this season. Am I right about that, or am I wrong?
He was not. He was not in the minor leagues this year.
Okay.
And I know he was inconsistent at times with San Diego. So he was cut loose. But as you said in your introduction to this, the Padres, as always, have become one of the most active teams at the trade deadline. They always seem to give up a lot of minor league players, but somehow it's replenished the next year to do it again.
how the Dodgers steal Jack Flaherty today from the Tigers. I mean, they gave up nothing compared to what the Padres ended up trading to try to to bring a top relief pitcher in, which makes me wonder. I mean, Jack Flaherty's 29 years old. He's having a terrific year in Detroit. You would think that giving up Theron Lorenzo and Trey Sweeney, who we would have probably seen here this homestand since Oklahoma City's in town, would be par for the course. But man, that seems like a bargain compared to what the Pods gave the Marlins earlier today.
Yeah, I think if you look at starting pitchers, Flaherty was probably the best starting pitcher that was rumored to be available, and you would think there was a lot of teams calling about him. And it's interesting you mentioned Sweeney, and thank you to you and Adrian for tap dancing a little bit there and giving Chihuahuas pregame a little bit extra time. He was one of the reasons why. Trey Sweeney was in the lineup tonight for Oklahoma City. So as is the case every trade deadline day, we get these text messages from the clubhouse with new lineups for both the home and the visiting team. And that really creates a stir up here when you talk about the video board, the announcers, and everybody. But Sweeney is a solid player, but you bring up a good point. I think maybe a lot of people would have expected more total prospects to go to Detroit.
Yep.
And also with that, to me, I think this is probably a disappointing year for Tigers fans. They were a team that, to me, I thought would be better than they have been. They acquired Flaherty. I thought maybe they'd end up being a team that tries to contend, but it didn't work out for them this year.
First off, they're 5 under 500, but they've really tanked it as of late. I mean, they've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 3 of their, won 3 of their last 10. So they've struggled there. I mean, yeah, they've dropped. So when you're 14 back of the Guardians, I probably would sell off right now as well. I'm just happy they didn't get rid of Tariq Skubal, because at least that is one of the bright spots. That's a young, controllable arm that they probably should keep in their core.
Absolutely. He might be the Cy Young Award winner this year, and I totally agree with you. I would trade Flaherty as well. What I mean is, when I think back to April, I thought maybe the Tigers would be a team that would be better than they were, but it really hasn't been that way.
Yeah.
And I agree. In general, when you have a good young player that's controllable for a couple of more years, when in doubt, stick with them. Some crazy things happen if you can get in the playoffs. Look at the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, nobody thought they'd end up in the World Series. Really, all you have to do is get in, which to me is why I think there's some optimism for the Padres.
No, you're right.
They are rolling right now. I think the projections show at this point they have a strong percentage chance of making the playoffs, even as a wild card. And who knows once that happens.
Tim Haggerty joining us. By the way, are you happy that we're talking baseball trade deadline and not some kind of uncomfortable topic that just makes you completely miserable